Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have the latest from the live radar. One of the latest weather warnings, we still have numerous rain warning issued over the next few days. We have amber warnings issued right now across South Wales, but fortunately they are expiring within the next few hours. We'll look at the latest from the UKV, looking at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as it is going to remain fairly chilly, if not quite cold at times, but also incredibly unsettled. And this is going to set the theme for the first week or so of December, maybe even the first half of December. Cool, if not cold, and very unsettled. Seeing these chilly air masses mixing in, not quite cold enough to see winteriness, but still quite chilly indeed, not the sort of strong southwesterly winds we can see sometimes. And of course, it is going to be very unsettled. Lots of low pressure systems with this southerly jacket jet stream. It is going to bring not only heavy rain for northern areas, but as we've seen in the past 24 hours, even further southwards as well. And that is going to continue only for the next few days, but perhaps for the next couple of weeks, as we'll see from the longer range charts. They do continue to show some blocking patterns progressively into the middle portion of the month, but none of the runs today get a big enough block to actually force properly cold air our way. The most they do is southerly track the jet stream, a few northerly shots, and just an unsettled but pretty chilly, if not cold, pattern developing. So again, still got stronger hints for that blocking patterns, but at this stage, still we have to wait and see whether it does amount to something a little bit more significant. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to like and subscribe. Now, if we start on the live radar, you see big walls of rain moving through the country at the moment, and they have done throughout today, and we've seen a lot of rain, especially further westwards. The heaviest rain was across Wales and southwest England, where we saw widely over an inch of rain, with some areas seeing multiple inches. We had widespread yellow and amber warnings. They're still in force at the moment, as I'm recording this around 9 p.m, but they are expiring pretty imminently, so we won't focus on them too much, but we'll highlight where that rain has been. Further eastwards, we're also seeing heavy rain pushing in, and it's again been on and off further eastwards. Of course, closer to the low, further westwards and northwards, as it is centred now towards Scotland. That's where the heaviest rain has been. Further eastwards, it's been a little bit drier, but still seen lots of these bands of precipitation moving through, and you see even a few squall features here as a bit of a cold front sweeps through. That is going to introduce some chillier air for the next couple of days. Now, if you look at the temperatures, you can see it isn't particularly cold today, but in terms of the feel-like temperature, has felt cold just because of the rain. A lot of thick cloud has made it feel chilly. And of course, the one thing we haven't really spoken about is the wind. Even though the wind hasn't been a huge hazard, on top of the rain, it has been pretty bad out there. Very gusty, and yeah, pretty strong, a bit stronger than I anticipated initially. You can see further northwards, we do have cold air sweeping in, and temperatures are dropping closer to freezing tonight in these areas, and that will become more widespread in the next few days. If you look at the latest UKV, you can see the various rain warnings we have at the moment. You can see the widespread yellow warning expires pretty much as I'm speaking. The amber warning does as well. And then this rain warning further northwards. The two warnings do expire tonight as well. Again, no new warnings issued for the next couple of days, but we are still going to see heavy rain, so I wouldn't be surprised to see further warnings coming into force there. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see all of that rain heading through at the moment, slowly petering out this evening, clearer skies coming, frosts in a few areas, but not quite long enough, or not quite enough that cold air pushing in overnight to see those frosts widely. Into Tuesday, it's kind of calm between the storms. You can see again some showers, some hefty showers moving in further southwards and westwards, but for some, especially further northwards and eastwards, it's not actually too bad of a day. Continue to see those showers into Wednesday morning, but we could see some frosts developing with the clearer skies. And then progressively through Wednesday, it's not too bad initially, but into the latter portion of the evening, we see the next band of rain moving in overnight into Thursday, and that could linger through much of Thursday morning, sweeps through, looking cold and unsettled once again. And then as we head into Friday and into Saturday, the next big band of rain arrives, and you see it is southerly tracking once again. It could allow a bit of winteriness further northwards, but for most, it's just really cold rain spiralling around England and Wales. Looking at the fact that this does stall across some northern England, we could see perhaps further warnings for rain issued here, with again it dumping a lot of rain. If you look at the upper air temperature, you can kind of see what we're talking about with cold air, but nothing especially cold, around 0 to maybe -5 degrees at 850 HP at worst. So it's not that cold, not cold enough for sort of widespread snow or anything, but cold enough for it to be kind of mid-single digits at best. And then you see these milder sectors pushing through, and that's what fuels the rain. And this is kind of the recipe, not only for the next few days, but perhaps the next couple of weeks. Now, if you look at the max temperatures, You can see as we progress into Tuesday, it's a chilly start, but most areas staying above freezing, a few isolated frosts further northwards. Into the afternoon, average temperatures kind of 5 to 9 degrees. Again, not too bad, but with the sunshine, it should feel a little bit better. Into Wednesday morning, again, the risk of frosts in places with temperatures just dropping close to freezing. Not widespread or not harsh, but definitely a possibility there. Into Wednesday afternoon, it's another chilly day, average temperatures around 5 to 9 degrees. And then overnight into Thursday, again, a frost could develop further northwards and westwards. And by the afternoon, temperatures not rising much, 6, 7, 8 degrees. And again, stronger winds around coming in from the west, some showers as well. It is going to make it feel cold, even though on the thermometer it is generally hovering around the average for the time of year. Into Friday morning, a more widespread frost developing, a lot more blues there. And into the afternoon, still really quite cold, especially further northwards. Best temperatures are kind of 5 to 7 degrees, so even dropping slightly below average there for early December. Nothing special really, but still a little bit chilly. Into Saturday, again, milder air in the south, much colder further northwards, and again, just a recipe for a lot of cold rain. So we are close to seeing something colder. We are seeing northern blocking developing in the coming weeks, but at this stage, it's not forcing a major cold spell or too much in the way of winteriness, as not only is the block not strong enough, but we've not got enough cold air just to our north to tap into. And we can explore that now on the latest longer range charts, which do promise a lot, but don't really deliver all too much today. Definitely could be more as we progress in the coming days and weeks, but at this stage we're not seeing too much. Now, if you can see, the jet stream is pushed southwards over the coming days with a little bit of blocking to our north as we head into the weekend. You see that with these greens across Svalbard and Greenland, no blues and purple, so no big deep low pressure systems, but it's not a strong high. It's not strong enough to push in north or northeasterly winds, but it is strong enough to push the jet stream southwards, so plenty of chilly patterns and cold rain. You see that blocking pattern never goes away as we head into the middle of the month, and this is where there is a possibility of it becoming more abundant. There are a few odd ensemble members that do it, and we'll see that at the end of the video, but generally here it's a southerly track jet stream, cool and unsettled, maybe even some milder sectors moving in at times. But you can see it's not a coherent big low stratospheric polar vortex towards Greenland, which still does, as I said, give hope that we could see a breakup of this pattern. Definitely those high pressure blocks are appearing, it's just not doing all too much for the UK at this stage. If we compare to the GM, it's really very similar. Those big blues and purples towards northern Canada do get broken up in the next few days. Then again, a big block starts to develop towards Greenland, but it never fully takes off, and we just see a southerly tracking jet stream, a pretty cool and unsettled pattern, potentially even stormy with the looks of some of these lows. If we look at the latest ECMWF to finish, again, very, very similar. All three runs are pretty much the same today in their overall regime, and that's why we're going through them quite quickly, as they're kind of repeating each other. You can see again the southern jet stream looking really unsettled. You can see that big elongated low coming across the North Atlantic. Again, that's pretty typical of these lows getting broken up. And you see generally as we progress into the long range, again, jet stream down into the Bay of Biscay, looking very unsettled, maybe even stormy in this sort of scenario, and keeping like that all the way to the end of the run. There is a little bit of a clearance developing in the North Atlantic, so there could be a bit more of a colder pattern developing in time for Christmas here. There definitely is scope at the end of this run, and again, it just shows you what could occur if those lows do sort of drain out of the North Atlantic. Eventually, we could swing to more of a north or northeasterly, but at this stage, still the most we're kind of threatening is that southern jet stream, cold and unsettled. We can see that on the latest ensembles, hovering above and below average over the next couple of weeks, never really getting much above kind of 2 or 3 degrees above average or 2 or 3 degrees below average, kind of hovering around the same sort of area. Precipitation, moderate as well, not massive, but I suspect those peaks will get higher and more succinct as we get nearer to individual events. So as I said, just very changeable, generally relatively chilly. Again, the thermometer temperatures and the upper air temperatures, they don't always tell the full story. Of course, with upper air temperatures slightly above average, you'd think, oh, it won't be too bad. But add on the rain, add on the cloud that we'd see from a weather front, then it make it feel much, much colder at the surface. And that's why I continue to say it's going to be fairly chilly, even though these temperatures here don't show that immediately. They kind of show average temperatures, but it will feel colder just because it is an unsettled pattern. You can see there are a few odd colder runs in the longer term, but again, they've got very, very little support. The GFS operation was one of these yesterday in the midnight run, but yeah, we're not seeing that today at all. If you look at the ECMWF, it's very similar, with hovering above and below average over the next couple of weeks, maybe slightly above average more longer term, especially for southern areas, probably be colder further northwards, but very unsettled as well. You can see there are more very cold runs appearing around that 10th to 20th of December point, maybe 5 or 6 developing here, so it is a possibility, but that's 10% of the ensembles here. 90% are showing more of an average unsettled regime. So still the potential as we progress into the middle of December, but at this stage it looks like the blocking isn't going to be sufficient on the latest runs to produce something significantly cold. But what it looks like it will do is create a southern jack and jet stream, chilly, maybe cold pattern at times, maybe cold enough for snow in the north, and yeah, just a really unsettled, unpleasant first week or two of December. Could develop to something else beyond that, but that's what we've got at least for now. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.